You know, it's so easy to blame the culture and the surroundings that we live in. Because the truth is, we are that which we surround ourselves around. Well, like we are. And I found out who I was when I suffered the most, right? When I was in a place of just complete and utter desolation, lonely, like the depths of loneliness, the depths of my negative thoughts, the depths of my weakness and incapacity and unclarity, like the hopelessness that I felt, man, of just being a man. Like I felt the weight of the burden of what a man is. This was back when I was at uni, and I still feel it. And I think many men feel this in today. Like in general, men have always felt the burden of being a man, and I don't even mean you might not even have a family, you might not even have a leadership position, you might not even have a position in life, you may not even have a position, but you are still gonna feel the burden of calling, right? The burden of a calling of what a man is. And it's hard, man. Like it's hard. Look, I think most young men have a dream of being a husband or a father one day. And that's a good dream to have. It's definitely not a dream that you should be giving up on. It's a dream, but it's a dream that comes with a lot of weight, right? Because you have to be a man to have that. And look, there are men who do this unconsciously, who adopt those traits of what it means to be a husband and a father, and they go after it in life and they make it bloody happen, man. And that's the result of being a man who knows his principles. I felt weak my whole life because I didn't know what the hell my principles were. That's the worst position to be in, when you don't even know what your principles are, when you don't know what you stand for, when you don't have direction in life, when you don't know how to lead yourself. Now, you can lead a family if you don't know how to lead yourself, right? That's the good old quote you always get. And the other quote you get when you're considering marriage is, well, what do you bring to the table? The truth of the matter is, I used to be a huge chauvinist. Huge, okay? I don't care who reads this. If you watch this, great, watch it. Who gives a rat's? Right, I'm being honest in this video. I used to be a huge chauvinist. I used to think that a man is someone who's, this burly, breadwinner, domineering tyrant, basically a tyrant. I used to think a man was a tyrant, and the woman loved the tyrant. Now, the truth of the matter is, immature women love the tyrant, and immature women who don't have that value system in their heads, when they don't have that ingrained. And I've met women who do. In fact, God's such a gracious God. God is such a beautiful God. God is great. God is great, man. Like, God is beautiful because He's taken me on a personal journey in my life when I've surrendered, and I've said to God, God, I want what you want. And I mean it. Like, when I mean it, I don't just say it out of limb, out of just like, God, I want what you want. No, it's like I mean it. Like I want to see what God sees. I want to see what you see. I want to do what you want me to do. Right? Like I can't do it by myself. I can't do it by myself. When you realize that, like deep down in your core, I cannot do it by myself. That's when you're open to it, and that's when He guides you, and that's when He shows you the way. I'm putting my shoulders up if you can't see it right now. That's when He shows you. That's when the light opens. I can't even explain to you how many miracles have occurred on my journey. That song playing at the right time, me seeing the verse that just hits the right spot. When I call someone, or someone calls me, when they didn't need to, I had no business to call, but they did at the right time when I needed them, when I needed to hear that voice. Or when I heard the lecture, which just reconfigured my brain and pointed me in the right direction. When I met the random person who just says the right words that just click. You might say pattern recognition software. Oh, you're just seeing what you want to see. You're hearing what you want to hear. Yeah, but you know what, man? The hope, the upliftment, the alignment with truth and conscience and integrity. Okay, it might be a coincidence, but I don't believe in coincidences, because the entire universe was not a bloody coincidence. When I look at the mountains and the seas and the oceans, when I look at the design inside of the mind of a human being, that design of a brain, when I look at the neurochemical system of the human physiological organism, I don't see that as a coincidence. So I don't see all these other things as coincidences either. I don't just see them as just mere happenings that we give a meaning to because we need meaning. I believe that their meanings find us. I believe that the meanings latch onto us and find us. And we can have good meanings or we can have bad meanings. We can have we can have words that have the suggestive power of good and the suggestive power of bad, of evil. And I certainly believe that it's interwoven into the fabric of reality. This whole thing, excuse my theatrical speech, I am a bit of a theatrical, forgive me. But the point I'm trying to make is, look, that is how it works. That's how it works. And yeah, shoot me if I'm delusional, right? I don't care. But yeah, what was I trying to say, man? The weight of the calling. It's hard, man. Like, when you realize what it means to be a man, you're like, shit, is that what I'm up for, man? Like, really? Like, the responsibility, waking up every day, knowing that, hey, man, like, people depend on me. If I don't wake up, if I don't do this job, money doesn't get made, people don't get fed. And that's on a material level, by the way. I mean, if you even look on a more physical, metaphysical level, if I'm not showing up, people don't get fed their daily bread as Christ gave. I'm not saying I'm a Christ figure. I'm definitely not a Christ figure. I'm not as disciplined. I'm not as strong. I'm not as faithful as he is. I'm not as gifted or blessed as he is. I'm not as wise or understanding as he is. I'm not as loving as he is. But he's a role model of mine, for sure. Christ is a role model. And he shows us perfectly well that is the seeking of the kingdom of heaven that is going to give us not only true fulfillment, but it's also going to make us take our place and take our crosses, as the Christians say, which is our responsibility, I believe, our responsibility and our burden to carry what we're meant to carry. That's all flowery language, man. I'm trying to stay down to earth a little bit here. I was just even thinking about the calling to be a husband or a father. You know, maybe it's your calling, maybe it's not. I don't know. Right? Maybe, what do you see yourself as? I mean, I definitely see myself as one day having a partner, and I definitely see myself as one day having children, right? And I do believe it will be probably the hardest job in the world to do both of those things, to be both a partner and a husband and a father. But man, when I said to God, I'm ready for whatever it is that you want me to go through, so if that means foregoing those two things for the sake of the kingdom of heaven, then so be it. All right, so be it. Like, there's obviously something greater, a greater blessing that's in store if those things are not the purpose. And you can't just choose it just because it's a purpose that society gives you as well. Like, Christ wasn't married, he didn't have kids. Right? Like, that's just something we've got to understand. Like, a lot of Christians love to go on about this whole idea of your purpose is to marry and reproduce. Not everybody, man. Not everybody's purpose is to do that. I'm sorry, I don't care if it's biological. We're more than just biological instruments. We have a greater value. There were plenty of celibates in history who reached entirely gigantic pinnacles in human history. Isaac Newton, Tesla. There's plenty more. Christ is the biggest one. And no, this is not an argument for celibacy. I'm not saying go be celibate just because you need to. I'm saying to orient yourself to artificial structures that are imposed upon you by your society because that's their level, that's their version of directing people, is not going to be the way for everyone. Okay, like, I've had partners in the past, and I've not met a single partner where I could see myself having a long-term relationship with that person. And on the other side, I see the pursuit of sexual gratification as being an immense drain and an immense distraction and an immense waste of energy. Not only that, but an immense change in the mental state and orientation of my own psyche. I've done it. I've been there. I've done it. And it took me huge steps away from my spiritual path. My spiritual path of being aligned with God, most importantly, because I would always substitute God for the woman. And when I did that, I lost all sense of purpose and direction in my life. And that's when I knew, whenever I had a relationship with a girl, my whole reality would fall apart, because it was a relationship that I wasn't supposed to be in. I was trying to do the whole Abraham and Sarah thing, which was go around the backside and have a relationship my own way. If God wanted me to have a wife, I'd have one by now. And if not only that, but if God wanted me to have a wife, it would feel very natural to want to go down that life path. It doesn't feel natural for me to go down that life path. I'm way more motivated to seek first the kingdom of heaven, and to be on self-development. And you might ask, well, why are you on self-development? The joy of learning, the joy of accomplishing, the joy of seeing new and different aspects of myself, the joy of meeting new people, the joy of adventure, the joy of just sheer amazement and wonder of life. Like, that's the joy of self-development. And do women play a part in that? I think they play a little bit. I think women play a tiny little bit in that journey, because women are like, when I'm around a woman, then when I'm in that place, all I have is a desire to just want to love and give, nurture and protect. I have no desire to take. I have no desire to want to extract something because I need some sense of fulfillment from this woman. Like, I need her to give me an identity. I need her to give me sexual fulfillment. That's evil. If you haven't realized that by now, like, evil is selfishness. Evil is, I want to take what you have because I don't have it. That's evil. That's what evil is. Evil is, I need to take what you have because I'm poor, because I don't have what I need. That's evil. Good is, I'm going to give you. I'm going to give. I don't need to take anything from you because I'm fulfilled. I'm going to give. That's what good is. That's what true holiness is, right? You're whole, right? You're whole, man, so you give. And yeah, ironically, you become very attractive to women because that's what women want. They want filled men, so to speak. They want men who are filled, who are fulfilled, and they don't need anything from the woman, and the woman can relax and be around this kind of man because she knows she's safe, that this man is not going to be evil. Okay? And though you might say, well, what about the men who are evil? What about them? How do they get the women? Well, because they put on a counterfeit, fake act. They put on a fake act. They fool the women, and they usually tend to be pretty good at fooling women, and they're not that crazy abundant in life. They don't exist that much. They fool the more immature women, in my experience. They fool the non-godly women. They fool the women who are not really that tuned on to things. And sooner or later, man, I've seen this. The women grow out of them. The women grow out of love of these kinds of men, and they realize that this man, if that man doesn't clean his act up, obviously, if the man cleans his act up, then it's a different story. But if he doesn't clean his act up and he continues to stay the way he is, the women clue up eventually, and they're like, you know, well, this is, if they heal, if the woman heals, if the woman doesn't heal, then no, it's obviously going to be a downward spiral from there on out. But yeah, man, the weight and the burden of a man, you know, it's really, it does go down to first lead yourself, and then you can lead others, and not to covet, right? Don't look at somebody else and be like, oh, he's got a wife and kids, you know, I'd love to have that. Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't actually want that. You just want it because it's sparking some greed in you, or some jealousy or need. What's your actual purpose? I know mine is self-development. Like going, trying new things, doing new things, learning new things about myself, learning new languages, traveling to new places, learning the Bible, teaching the scriptures, understanding the scriptures, right? Like, that's my purpose. And learning new things about myself and being able to teach those things to others is my purpose. I don't think my purpose is really anything else other than that. It's do new things and then teach the insights. Be enthralled by life, live on the edge, and then teach other people about that. That's my purpose, and I know that. And if a woman and a wife and a family come as part and parcel of that one day, then great, right? And it's not me running away from responsibility, because the responsibility I have on the other flip side is the responsibility to myself to actually follow through on the things that I've said I'm going to do. That's the burden right there, and my conscience will convict me if I do not do those things. So anyway, I'm just expressing ideas right now and just going through a bunch of things. Hope it was a bit enlightening to you. Hope you learned something. Take it easy.